Parker to the Rescue by Catherine Lane. Narrated by Ann Eder. Wow, did you hear about this? My wife sat across the table from me, balancing the Sunday newspaper on her ever-expanding belly. We were at our favorite bakery, making the most of the little time we had left before the baby came. Soon, brunches with lattes, decaf for her, and delicious custard-filled churro croissants would be a thing of the past. And so would lingering over the paper and sharing interesting little tidbits. I would miss our lazy Sunday mornings. But a baby? It was almost a miracle. She would make our world so much brighter. My lips curved into a smile since I couldn't see the article in her hand. I don't know if I've heard about it. Tell me. The High Rollers? That football team in Las Vegas? They hired a female kicker. She swung the paper around to reveal a grainy photo of a woman in a neon green Rollers uniform, holding a football helmet in one hand, long blonde hair cascading down her back. She looked fierce, like she could tackle the world. Oh my God! Since when did you start caring about football? No, it's not that. I waved my hand for the paper. I know her. You know Parker Sherborne? Yeah, she went to Calmont Prep. I never told you? No. My wife shook her head like I'd been hiding a secret fortune in diamonds under the bed. And what's more, I added, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be at this table if it weren't for her. My wife folded her paper into thirds and dropped it neatly by her decaf. Okay, spill. What'd she do? Something I'll remember for the rest of my life. One more look at Parker in the paper transported me right back to high school. Not that long ago, really. And to the moment which had set me on a collision course with my future. And in my mind's eye, I was sitting in a circle with 15 girls in Avalon Stone's game room. Truth or dare? The phone asked in a surprisingly lifelike voice. Parker Sherborne looked at the cell in her hand and laughed with delight. Holy shit, Cammy, you made this? I did, Cammy grinned. You know Mr. Martin's ahead of the curve. He has that new app maker unit in his creative design class. I just told him my questions explore social emotional learning. Teachers love that shit. Everyone in the circle laughed, except for me. I sat straight as a board, hands under my thighs, trying to take up as little space as possible. Their easy chatter filled the room, pressing in on me, making me feel even more like the odd woman out than I normally did. We were at the end of the season soccer party, a big celebration. We had won state, thanks almost entirely to Parker, our goalie and captain. She sat right across from me. Folded up with her legs crossed underneath her, she had presence. Her body was loose and languid, and she seemed completely at ease. So we going to play or not? Cammy asked. Everyone looked at Parker, not because she held the phone, but because whatever she said went. Sure, let's play. I'll start. She tapped the phone. I choose truth. Who was your first boyfriend or girlfriend? I stiffened. That was more like a dare. At the championship game last week, the finals had gone into penalty kicks, and Parker had made 2 amazing saves in a row to win. Afterwards, during the celebration, she had grabbed Emma, the star forward, and planted a heated kiss right on her lips. In front of everybody, parents, administrators, our coach. She didn't care, but they did. There was weird, unnatural silence, where everyone sort of froze. And then, as if on cue, we just continued cheering as if it had never happened. That was Calmont Prep for you. Rich people. They could deny anything, even if they saw it with their own 2 eyes. My first boyfriend, Parker said, was Ronald Lennox. We had our first kiss in 5th grade during free swim in PE. Oh, I remember that. Madeline, the outside halfback, nodded. Parker laughed. Yep. We threw those little dart things to the bottom of the pool, and then, when we swam down to get them, we'd kiss. We thought we were being so clever. But Coach Flagler knew the whole time. She just didn't say anything. "Hey, whatever happened to the flag?" Madeline asked. Someone else answered. "I dunno. She just didn't come back one year." By then, my gaze had slid to the hand-woven rug we were all sitting on. God, I had so wanted her to talk about that other kiss. The moment was seared in my mind like a movie I had watched 1,000 times. Emma had leaned in like she was expecting it. Or maybe she just wasn't surprised. Were they together? I was dying to know. They had lunch every day on an outside bench against the wall of ferns. But as far as I knew, there hadn't been any more PDA. Calmont had really strict rules on that. That's only half the answer. Parker's voice thrummed with desire. I knew that exact feeling. I had heard it in my own head all the time. I raised my head in time to see Parker slide her hand into Emma's, who was sitting next to her. My first real girlfriend? You're looking at her. And in one fluid motion, she raised Emma's fingers to her lips. Emma's face and neck went bright red, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she scooted closer to Parker as if to give her statement weight. Not that it needed any. We all reacted at once. Avalon gasped and raised her own hand to her mouth. Lily threw her elbow into Gracie's side and said, "Told you so." Bella's nose wrinkled, as if her favorite food had suddenly gone bad. I, on the other hand, fought down my rising excitement and shot Devon a look. Hers was the only reaction I wanted to see. Her luminous blue eyes were fixed on Parker and crinkled at the edges as she was really turning something over in her mind. It was almost imperceptible, but I had been studying Devon since the beginning of the school year. I'd had a crush on her since the first day in AP Euro. I didn't hear a word about the Enlightenment, since all I could concentrate on was her dark curls falling down her back. They had hints of golden brown running through them, and I spent the whole class wondering what it would feel like to run my hands through her hair. My own personal enlightenment. Not that my feelings were anything new. I've known I liked girls, in that way, for as long as I could remember. But I had it bad with Devon, and I didn't have enough guts to act on it. Parker dropped Emma's hand, snuggled up to her, and somehow simultaneously handed the phone to Gracie. "Your turn." No, this is too intense," Gracie said. "I'm taking Dare." "Hand your phone to someone in the group and let them text anyone in your contacts." Mila squealed. "Really, Cammy? Where do you come up with this stuff? You're a masochist." "No, I'm not. She can choose anyone she wants. That's part of the game." Cammy shrugged with her whole body. "If she's smart, she'll choose someone nice." "Okay, then. I choose Kayla." My stomach clenched, as if I had been physically punched. "Me?" I asked. I didn't want to play. I already had a plan to head to the bathroom one person ahead of my turn. Gracie picked her phone off the rug, unlocked it with quick taps, and handed it to me. She said the nicest, so don't get any ideas. "Oh, you can totally text something dirty to Marcus," Lily said. "No!" Gracie leapt for the phone in my hand, but Lily pushed her back down before she made contact. "Come on, Kayla," Lily said. "Take a chance for once." I glanced to Devon, who was waiting silently with everyone else to see what I would do. I wish I knew. Like I said, I was the kind of girl who almost fit in. People were friendly, but never quite friends. I thought it was because they knew about me. My boyish looks said it all. Life can hit pretty hard when you never have to open your mouth to tell your truth. With everyone's eyes locked on me, I scrolled down Gracie's contacts, looking for Marcus, her boyfriend. They had been dating since 8th grade and had been on the homecoming court 3 years running. "There he is," Avalon leaned over my shoulder and pointed center screen to Marcus's name. I dropped my finger toward it. "Kayla," Gracie pleaded. "Please don't." Lily laughed and wrapped both arms around Gracie so she couldn't jump up. "Or better yet, tell him she wants to break up." I hit the contact and the message icon super quick, before I could rethink. "What are you doing?" Avalon's voice dripped with disappointment. "That's her mom." "What's she typing?" Cammy asked. "Aw, for fuck's sake. 3 big hearts." Gracie relaxed in Lily's arms, who snorted in disgust. "Loser." Avalon shook her head. "Let her be," Parker said. "She's being true to herself. That's not easy." And everyone stopped coming at me. One word from Parker, and the whole tone of the room shifted for the better. Not for the first time, I wished I could control my own space like Parker. After that, Cammy's phone moved around the circle. Truths and dares jumped from the speaker, one after another. "Put an ice cube down your pants and dance until it melts." "What is something people think you would never do, but you totally have?" "Let the group pose you any way they want, and then put the picture on social media." Devon's turn came. She took the phone gingerly, like it was fresh from the oven, and she didn't know how hot it was. She poised her finger over the screen. "Truth," she said finally. "What turns you on?" the phone asked almost immediately. "Ha! Devon doesn't know. She's never been out on a date." Lily was the kind of girl who, at least in her own mind, had all the answers. "Shut up, Lily." Devon came back quickly. "You don't know anything about me. I know what I like." She focused on the phone and said quietly, "Kindness. I like kindness in a person." Kindness? The statement settled over me like a blanket on a cold night. Was that directed at me? Did I actually have a shot here? As if she heard me, Devon's gaze rose from the phone and met mine. A ghost of a smile edged her lips, and she nodded. Happiness hummed through my body so strong I could almost hear it. I had no idea what all this meant, but after months of watching Devon from the sidelines, I might finally be in the game. "Gracie! Cammy!" Avalon's mother called from upstairs. "Your mothers are here." "Already?" Cammy reached for her phone. "Thank you guys. That was a good test run." And then, "Anyone have any suggestions how to make the app better? I want to put it up on the Apple Store eventually." Avalon started offering advice even before Cammy had finished speaking. The rest of the group broke up as well and followed them in 2s and 3s up the stairs. Except for Devon. She hung back, reaching deep in her pockets as if she were looking for something. Parker rolled up from the floor, towering over us when she completely uncurled. She patted me on the shoulder as she walked by. Any other time, I would have swooned. Attention from Parker was like meeting the Queen at Buckingham Palace. But at the moment, I only had eyes for Devon, who was digging her hand into her front pocket once more. "Good," she said when we were finally alone. "I thought they'd never leave." She took 2 steps and closed the space between us. Her gaze seemed to take in my whole body. "I kind of hoped that you would have... You know, I've been waiting for you to say something to me." "You were?" What a dumb response. But with her so close and all, I had nothing else. "Yeah, I see the way you look at me in history and at practice." I must have gone bright red. My face certainly felt as if it had burst into flames. No, I like it," she said quickly and touched my arm. Just for a second, but the contact sent a jolt through my body. "You do?" Just as dumb, but with her looking at me, her gaze full of wonder, it didn't seem so bad. "Yeah, I just didn't know how to tell you." "Me neither. I slid even closer. Now our bodies were only inches apart. All I had to do was lean in, and our lips would touch, and all my dreams would come true. Truth and dare rolled into one. That's how the game should be played. One tiny step. Our lips met, and I found my truth.
Devin, time to go.
A shrill voice, sharp as a knife, tore us apart. I leaped back, and Devin spun to the stairs in jerks, as if her limbs were no longer connected to her body. "Mom!" She couldn't hide the panic in her response. Devin's mother stood rigid at the top of the stairs. She glared down at us, and Devin melted right in front of me, almost literally, as if her backbone had turned to liquid. She rushed upstairs, never once turning around to say goodbye. After they left, I stood in the game room alone, trying to unpack everything that just happened. Even at school the next day, I still hadn't figured it out. The only clear thing is that we had been on the verge of something glorious. I had to find a way back there. At lunch, I finally saw her outside in the courtyard. "You want to eat together?" I had practiced the question all day, under my breath, in all my classes. Even so, nervousness curled at its edges, and the question came out weird. She looked at me, startled, and tried to look right through me. No, thanks. I need to go take care of something." She headed off in the other direction, as quickly as her legs would take her. "No." My knees buckled, and I steadied myself on a table full of ninth graders. We were so close. How could it go so horribly wrong? The image of her mother glowering at us from the top of the stairs hit me. Devin might have liked the way I looked at her, but her mother certainly did not. What had she said to her? Is that why she ran? I stood lost in the courtyard, wishing a hole would open in the ground and swallow me, broken heart and all. "Kayla." In a daze, I turned toward the sound. Like usual, Parker Sherborne sat on the wooden bench against the fern wall. She and Emma had seen every embarrassing second, as if I were on some horrifying reality show. My cheeks burned as if I had been slapped. Well, I kind of had. Twice in under a minute. Parker didn't laugh. Instead, she slid over, making enough space for me on the bench next to her. She gestured to the empty spot and said, "Join us. This is where you belong." Goodwill rolled off of her in waves, and like the tide, dragged me to her as it receded. I sat, and Parker slung her arm around my shoulders. "You're okay. We've got you," she whispered. I sank back against the hard slats of the bench, the weight of her arm tethering me to it, to her and to a new beginning. In fact, that was the moment the world stopped pushing in from all sides and opened up around me. I took a deep breath and then another. I wasn't happy, not by a long shot, but for the first time in ages, my shoulders dropped and I relaxed into my own space. "And?" my wife asked, pulling me into the present. I took a sip of my coffee. It had gone stone cold in the time it had taken me to tell the story. She and Emma looked out for me for the rest of the year. We never quite became friends. I mean, they were seniors and I was a sophomore. But Parker gave me room and time to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be. It was an amazing gift. I'll never forget that. "And Devin?" She avoided me like the plague from that point on. We spent the next 2 years in all of the same classes and on the same soccer field, and we only ever spoke casually. And then, when we graduated, I lost all track of her. I hope that somewhere she found her own Parker to give her a seat on whatever bench she wanted. Me too. But I'm glad Parker was there for you. For us, the three of us. I patted the grainy photograph on the table. Thank you, Parker Sherborne. I hope you find your own seat with the rollers. If you want the answer to that, check out the rest of Parker's story. Romancing the Kicker is currently available at Amazon and the Ilva store.